Shalom. Call Halal Yahweh Bashim Abishai Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the confusion of faith joined unto our ranks. To the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. And we're just going to let Kim Iverson, an Edomite, tear, all right? Because she always claims she even admitted that she claims an Asian ethnicity on her college applications and etc. to pay less and all these other things. All the benefits that came from being a woman and a minority, but yet her father's an Edomite. All right, so she's an Edomite. You are whatever your father is. Something we're trying to get these idiotic BOIs to understand. All right, who constantly on our channels with that nonsense. But nevertheless, we're going to let Esau's tongue fall upon themselves. All right, as they in this video is called "Secret Tapes Reveal the U.S. Has a Plan to Oust Maduro." So they're pretty much admitting that they call all the death. When you think about all the death and the loss of property, the animal deaths, the prison riots, the destruction of property, all the zoo animals were eaten, the cats and dogs were eaten, all the destruction, rape, and all the horrible things that has happened in Venezuela over these last couple of years is all the fault of Esau, Edom, Kim's people. Let's the description, then we'll let this video play. This is Jeremiah 49:10, and it reads, "But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not." All right, so the bare part, and he can't hide himself, that part is here. The spoiling and him not being, that's yet to come. But that's close at hand as well. So without any further ado, let's let Miss Kim Iverson tell on her people.
Mike Pompeo actually admitted that the coup in Venezuela isn't supported by the Venezuelan people. We're going to continue on now. I know my last video was about this, of the Washington Post. They were able to obtain a secret recording of a meeting that Mike Pompeo held. And this was not meant to be leaked. There was not supposed to be any press, but it was secretly recorded and it was leaked to the Washington Post. John Hudson, the national security reporter for the Washington Post, was able to secure this, and it is a juicy audio recording. And if you haven't heard it, I'm going to put the link down below and you can listen to it for yourself. But in it, Pompeo talks, he's addressing various aspects of U.S. foreign policy, so you know it's going to be good. And he talks about, like I mentioned on the last video, meddling in UK's election to ensure that the Labour Party's Jeremy Corbyn doesn't become the next Prime Minister of the UK or one of the future Prime Ministers.
So now you wonder why all these nations are going to turn on Babylon. All right? Well, all these nations are going to turn on Esau, Edom here in America. All right? They're admitting how they meddle in all these other countries' affairs. And this was a secret recording, which means Edom is against Edom. They are a divided house. They are not on one accord. This is Mark 3:25. And I'm starting at 23. "And he called unto them and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against himself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against Satan himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end." And Esau, Edom is Satan. Remember in Isaiah 14, when it was referring to Satan, to Lucifer, it says, "Is this the man that made the earth to tremble and kingdoms to shake?" Roughly paraphrase. Is this the man? So this man, the Edomite man, that race of people, the house of Edom, the race of Edom, is against themselves.
Of the UK. He also talked about the peace plan, the Jared Kushner peace plan for Israel and Palestinians. I'm not going to talk about that today because it's, you know pretty much what that's going to be, which is basically everything's going to be in Israel's favor. And that link is down below again that you can listen to what he has to say about that. But he does talk about Venezuela. And in it, he admits the coup in Venezuela is not supported by the Venezuelan people. Listen to this.
I want to emphasize this entire meeting is off the record.
Okay, so that just emphasized right there that the meeting is off the record.
Wow. And someone started, hold on, he said this meeting is off the record. And that goes to show you the inner workings of Esau, Edom, his councils of deceit, even among themselves. Because he said this is off the record, but basically what he's saying, it's true. Just because we're not, so that goes to show you that Esau withholds evidence and information. The same thing he does with our history, not admitting that the so-called Negroes, who were Israelites, were the ruling class people in Europe throughout the Dark Ages and the earlier part of the Renaissance, prior to the Renaissance, the medieval times. All right, the hiding and covering up of history that the so-called Negroes here in America primarily make up the tribe of Judah, which was the tribe that the Lord came from. And then when you bring out this facts or mention it, they look at you as if you're crazy. Well, if you've withheld this information for hundreds of years and when it finally surfaces, yeah, it's going to sound crazy to someone who's been taught that lie. You know, we're going against lies that are damn near 1,000 years old, man. You know, we're over almost half a millennia old. They've been telling these lies, man.
United has proven devilishly difficult, not just that has been public for these last months, but since the day I became CIA director. This was something that was at the center of what President Trump was trying to do.
Oh, okay. So keeping the opposition together in Venezuela has been devilishly difficult. That's what he says. Devilishly difficult. So what does that mean? That means that there's not much fire in the opposition, that people aren't really all that interested in remaining opposed to Maduro. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Maduro is this really wonderful leader. I don't think any leader's all that great. I'm sure every government is filled with some corrupt jerk that's at the top, you know, to some level, some more corrupt than others. And I'm sure in Venezuela it's not that different. But nonetheless, the United States has intervened in Venezuela. We've tried to squeeze them since Hugo Chavez was president. It's been a disaster what we've been trying to do down there for the Venezuelan people. And he's admitting here that even while he was in the CIA, it was devilishly difficult to keep that opposition together.
So what she's admitting is devilishly difficult, but what they're admitting to is this. This is Sirach 10 and 8, and it says, because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Since America's inception, all it has been doing is oppressing and demonizing other nations, especially those people of color, to get their resources. All right, America wages war on everyone. Once America established itself and made its currency the world reserve currency, it continued with these same practices, intervening in countries to make sure that the leadership of that country is in line with American policy to make sure that America's currency is used in their country and that America had access to their resources. Point blank period, by any means necessary. And if there were casualties of war or casualties because of these actions, then so be it. This is the modus operandi of Esau, Edom. All right? Kim's people. Mike Pompeo's people, the Edomites.
That's what he just admitted right there.
We've been working, and it took us this long to get to where we are today.
Oh, we've been working, and it's taken us this long to get where we are today? Yeah, you mean since the early 2000s, since we've been trying to get Hugo Chavez out of the presidency of Venezuela, and then when it was handed over to Maduro after Hugo Chavez died, now we've been trying to get Maduro out. So yeah, it's taken like 15 years.
Where you have a leader, tenuous as it may be, who could have been arrested while we're sitting in this room.
I don't know what he's talking about right there. He could have been arrested while they were sitting in this room.
Who has managed to cobble together the opposition the moment Maduro leaves.
who has managed to cobble the opposition. So maybe it's because the opposition isn't all that strong. People in Venezuela aren't really blaming Maduro maybe for everything that's going on. Maybe the Venezuelan people know what has happened to their country. They know that the reason why they're economically suffering is not just because Maduro's a bad leader, but maybe because they've been sanctioned so hard and they haven't been able to make money in order to fuel their economy. You need money in order to keep your economy going. So maybe the Venezuelan people aren't so stupid. Maybe that's...
And those are Israelites down there suffering, man. Brown people, all right, that are suffering at the hands of Esau, Edom, still to this day. All right, they even speak the language. Some of them proudly speak the language of Esau, Edom. Show you how ignorant they are. They speak the language of their oppressors and they're proud of it. Even call the language a heritage. There's no heritage called Spanish. That's a damn language.
That's what it is. Here he goes on.
The moment Maduro leaves, and everybody's going to raise their hand and says, take me, I'm the next president of Venezuela. There'll be 40 plus people who believe they're the rightful heir to Maduro.
So he admits there that once Maduro has been ousted, that there's 40 people in line saying, I'm the new rightful president. So they don't even have this figured out who the next guy's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Guaido, that's who the United States wants. But he's admitting right here that there's maybe 40 other people who are going to raise their hand and say, actually, I should be the president of Venezuela. But here's the last juicy clip from this secret recording.
So I don't know the when. I do know modality. Maduro's departure is important and necessary, but completely insufficient.
Hold on, let's listen to that again.
Wow.
So I don't know the when. I do know modality. Maduro's departure is important and necessary, but completely insufficient.
So he just said, I don't know when, but I do know the modality.
So modality basically breaks down to the mode, the method. For those of you who didn't know that word.
What's the modality, Mike? How are you going to do it? How are you going to oust Maduro? How are you going to get rid of him? You don't know when, but you know how.
Job 15:35. They conceive mischief and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepareth deceit. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Abashai Bashem Rakak Badash Wa Abba Babal Kwam Yasharala.